All right, welcome back. If you've been following the series, I just wanted to share some more rules that the church had. These are rules that are pretty much for everyone. By the way, this happens to be a picture of part of the compound slash church. So some other rules is it's unacceptable to go to service and not pray at the altar. And it can't be like a weak sauce prayer either. So, if it had to be a significant kneeling and time spent to prove that you were right with God. In fact, not going and praying would be perceived as, you being guilty of sin or a sign that you're backsliding. Once you've chosen to be a member, you have to attend every single service. It's mandatory. Twice on Sunday, once on Wednesday, generally 2 to 3 hours, but it also wasn't uncommon, for services to last as long as 3.5 hours. And if you get sick or had something come up at home, you can't miss service. And if you do, don't be surprised if you're, hunted down by the deacons. Also, don't try and show up last minute. Anything less than an hour, half an hour is perceived as late, and clearly you have to pray at least a half an hour before service. And the more responsibilities you had, the more time you spent in the church. And honestly, I was usually there between an hour to an hour and a half before service. So all told, I'd be spending about 5 hours, per service. Now, while there are other message churches, very few are extreme as ours. As a result, you are not allowed to attend any other church, period. And if you wanted to travel and go to another message church, you had to obtain express approval from the pastor. Additionally, if you didn't get approval and you just went, you'd definitely be blasted from the pulpit, and more than likely you'd face some kind of like debrief, like you were a spy or something. I was also in the band and the choir, which kind of leads us to some of the other stuff. We weren't allowed to have drums or a bass guitar because those things were seen as too racy and worldly, and don't even get caught singing a song that wasn't approved. Here's another quick shot of the locked gate that we talked about earlier, which goes with the arriving early. So if you were late, they would lock the gate. You couldn't get in. That's your fault, and expect a call. As far as music goes, you weren't allowed to listen to pretty much any kind of music whatsoever, other than church music. And by church music, I mean our church. So other Christian music was actually viewed as worldly, and regular music was just a straight no. So you were definitely also allowed to write your own music if you wanted to. Our pianists and organists were very restricted. Any jazziness or riffing would get a glare and probably a talking to after the service.